Well, who knows who's gonna win on Saturday in Baton Rouge, Alabama, and the Horseshoe. Hell know who's gonna win that fight tonight out in Vegas. Knows who's gonna get KO. Well, he knows who's got the strongest defensive line. High school football all across the South. And he knows the best cornerbacks of all time. Oh, when it comes to the gridiron, no doubt. Oh, Rico knows. Oh, Rico knows. Well, he knows the difference between the X and Z. Knows what those colors mean in Tennessee. He knows how to throw a fastball and a slider. When it comes to all sports, he's an insider. He knows who the bookies say are the favorites. Knows the money line and the over-under. But he don't know what a bad bet is. That's why he keeps coming back for more. Oh, Rico knows. 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 Well, he knows the difference.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm liking that song. I know some of you guys were getting hyped yesterday when I played that other song. I was like, yo, Rico, I was in the gym. I had that shit on repeat. I was bobbing my head. I appreciate you guys for being here. It is Big 12 Wednesday. We talk about the Big 12 and the American, and we'll have at it. We do have a lot of games to talk about. Just a reminder, there are games tomorrow. So unfortunately, I won't even be doing the SEC and the Sun Belt or the Mountain West. We're just not going to have time. I have to get the videos out for the MVPs. If you didn't know, those are my premium members on Patreon and YouTube. So if you're here on YouTube, you can do the same thing. If you download Patreon, go to the App Store, search Patreon, search RicoKnows. Download Patreon, search RicoKnows, and then become an MVP like the thousands of people have done. I think we're almost over 6,000 people now that are on the Patreon. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. You make my life possible. I couldn't do it without you, and I really mean that. So what I want to tell you is that they're going to get a video on Thursday. Well, for Thursday's games, they're going to get that video tonight. And then on Thursday, they'll get another video. That'll be for Friday's games. And then on Friday, they'll get another video. Those are for the Saturday's games. You always get a video one day in advance, letting you know all the games, all the breakdowns, everything. And yes, we go over every prop in the world. They put out 1,600 props last year. We'll go over every prop, over every line, spread, over, under, any scenario you can think of. I discuss it, I talk about it, I reference it, and we make the best decisions we can. Shout out to the MVPs out there, and thank you guys for believing in me. But let's talk about the Big 12, man. Let's get after it. So in the Big 12, there was 2 games last week, and actually one of them was a conference game, and everybody got to see it because it was out in Ireland. It was Iowa State at K-State. Now, I told the MVPs this was a coin flip game. We have no business betting on this game. I told them that the talent chart, which is something I create in the offseason, if you guys aren't aware, I break down every single team. I look at every position group, and I give it all a rating between 1 and 10. And then those position groups are weighted a certain way. I have a formula, and this whole formula breaks out, and it gives you the score at the end. And every team has a different score. It's all a percentage score. And then I rank them all by these scores, and it tells me who's the better teams and who's the worst teams. And this is all talent, right? Just talent. Injuries can happen. Coaches can make decisions to bench guys. Coaches can ruin your percentage, all this stuff. But weather, all kinds of stuff can happen. But if I'm just evaluating the players and their talent, I told the MVPs, Iowa State's the pick by the talent chart. And then I went ahead and told them, nah, I'm not going to go with Iowa State as the pick because I feel like K-State I say Avery Johnson's probably going to play better than the score I gave him. When I evaluated Avery Johnson, obviously I do quarterbacks first, so that's like back in maybe May or June is when I was evaluating quarterbacks, and I was evaluating the quarterback room for K-State. I gave Avery Johnson a 7.25 score, and I said, hey, I think he's going to play better than 7.25. He did not. Okay, he did not. He did not play well. Don't believe the stats. Don't believe the hype. Avery Johnson played pretty terrible, especially when it really mattered. He couldn't make certain throws that needed to be made. Yes, he can run. He can extend plays, and there's a lot of empty yardage, broken plays. I mean, one of these touchdowns they scored towards the end of the game was just a break in coverage, and now Brown's running, or not Brown, it was like Tibbs or somebody. Somebody was running for a long touchdown, and you're just going, what the hell am I looking at? I also want to know why ESPN is doing these box scores like this, where they don't have the right information. It's really weird to me. Like, for example, why don't I know these wide receivers? Oh, their yards are up here, not down here at the bottom. Oh, that's fucking terrible. I don't like that at all. But anyways, I digress. So, talent chart says Iowa State's winning. I go and make the wrong decision, but it shouldn't matter. This is why when people ask me, what's your record against the spread? It doesn't matter. This is a no-bet game. This is a game where there's coin flips, and we don't even attempt to bet on coin flip games. Now, some of you degenerates out there, you 1-800-CALL gambler guys, you probably spent way too much money in the first game of the day and did a bunch of prop bets. Now, if you did the prop bets, we knocked those out the park for this particular game. I got a lot of them right because I know the players. So I want to pull up the box score. I don't want to look at this crap. So the box score, just so I can talk about it. First and foremost, Rocco Becht, been the starting quarterback for a while now. Trust him. He comes through in the clutch. Now, he didn't have a great statistical game. He was going up against a pretty good defense, and the weather was problematic in Ireland. When are we going to stop playing games overseas? I would love to just stop, bro. We're not trying to get European fans in football. That's not real. Are they coming to our colleges? Why are we playing college football games overseas? This isn't the NFL, and we're trying to expand globally and all that. It's college football. What are you trying to expose them to? It's absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. I don't even understand it. Running back room at Iowa State. Personally, not impressed with the running back room. I've told you guys this for at least 2 years now. Abu Sama sucks. We took his under yards. We got it. It was 43.5. Carson Hansen will be relied upon. He's a battering ram. They're going to keep giving him the rock and let him do his thing. But I think he's limited athletically. What's another scary thing is no one else ran the rock for this team. Those are the only guys running the ball. There is no end arounds. There is no jet sweeps. There is no third running back. So that's a little surprising to me. Iowa State receivers, they had to find all new receivers, and they found a few. The things I'm most impressed with on this team are the tight ends, though. I called this before the game. I said, hey, guys, back in the day, Matt Campbell used to use tight ends, and now that his receivers are gone, he might start using tight ends again. So what are they going to do? Gabe Burkle, tight end. Benjamin Brahmer, coming back from injury, a stud tight end. Really like him. Brett here, Brett's the little guy? Yeah, Brett's the little one. Dominic Overby is the tall guy that can really get open. So Brett is the 6'1", 200 pounds. I shouldn't say little. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. But he's not as big as this dude right here who's 6'5", 200 pounds, a freshman. Dominic Overby is going to be hard to cover. If they're putting safeties out there to try to cover him because he lines up in the slot and now he's running them stick routes and then post and anything he's running, he's going to be hard to deal with just because of his sheer size. And he's actually a little bit of a burner. So I expect these guys to put up decent numbers, especially Rocco Becht. People trying to stack the box, which they shouldn't do. These running backs suck. Okay, defensively, they looked the part. They looked like they were out there. They were stingy. Obviously, one of my favorite players is Jeremiah Cooper, but I love seeing Bacon out there. Don't play with your food. Don't bet on food. But I really like to see Caleb Bacon playing ball, and Jeremiah Cooper's going to make plays. They lost a lot of leaders in this defense. Verdon went to the league early, one of their top corners. Purchase is one of the all-time greats in this school's history. And he's gone now. Just a number of players are gone. Obviously, they had another 6'4" corner get drafted and Darian Porter. So Iowa State still one of the premier teams in the Big 12, and they looked the part, and they went out there and they beat K-State. It happens. K-State on the other side, Avery Johnson, he's a dual threat guy. Can't really throw that well, man. I don't care what these stats say. I know what I see on my eyeballs. I know what I see, just not accurate. Ball's wobbly, no zip to it. It just looks like an athletic kid playing quarterback. When we were in youth football, we used to do that. Just pick an athletic kid and let him play quarterback because sometimes he's going to keep it and run. Sometimes he can throw it. Doesn't matter. You ain't got no receivers that can really catch. We're not playing pro-style offense. We can't line up and go 4 wide receivers and say, yo, let it rip. We can't do that with K-State. But K-State has some studs. I want to tell you, I was impressed with Joe Jackson. Unfortunately, their best player goes out and gets injured. Now, I just got word that he is still going to be out for the next 3 weeks. So when you lose your speed demon, and now you're left with what? You're left with Joe Jackson, who had some burst. I didn't mind it at all. Another guy that showed up, this Devon Rice kid. Devon Rice, where did we see him in high school? Where was Devon Rice in high school? Las Vegas. Bishop Gorman, my bad. Bishop Gorman, he's a good player. He's fine. He's little. He's just not quite there. He can't move the chains, no forward lean. It sucks. Because you went in there, I'm sure they had packages for Dylan Edwards all day long where they're going to go ham and Dylan Edwards is just going to break the game open, and then he gets injured on a punt, and we never see him again, and now he's out for a couple weeks. It's a damn shame. Receiver room. The guy that I'm most excited about, the guy I talked about it before the game, was Garrett over here. Garrett Oakley, the tight end, he just gets open. He's just a beast. I think he's a professional tight end. I like him a lot. The only returning starting receiver on this team is Jace Brown, and he did well, but busted coverage on Bradley doesn't impress me. You know, just stuff like this is annoying. I need them to do more, especially if you want to win games in the Big 12. I need them to do more. Those fumbles, it was a wet game. You got to play in the elements. It is what it is. Defensively, I was a little disappointed in some of their returning starters, and I'm talking about like Stuffle Bean. If you go back and watch the tape, Gunnar Maldonado, Purnell has been playing here forever, and Purnell has a play where he can make a tackle, and he just slips right off. This is a guy who's been starting for 2 years now. This is his third year. You can't do that. You can't be the senior leader of this defense, one of the senior leaders, and show out like that or have that display. Really disappointed in K-State. The brand of their football is sure tackling, disciplined football, physically developed players. They go out there and smash you, and it just didn't look that part. Shout out to Iowa State for finding a way to win. It is what it is. The other game that was played by the Big 12 was Kansas. Kansas absolutely throttled Fresno State. The spread was 12 points. I didn't know where that was coming from. I told everybody this is not the Fresno State that Vegas thinks they are. This is a terrible Fresno State team. They have a huge downgrade in talent, and it's because Matt Entz, being a Midwest coach from the FCS, from the Ohio River Valley, wherever the hell they coach up there in North Dakota State, the Bison and all that, they don't have the right pipeline. And I mentioned this. I said, hey, Fresno State is not getting all the best players in the San Joaquin Valley like Pat Hill used to do. They're not getting all the best players out of Edison and Buchanan and Clovis West and anybody else in that region. They're not going up and getting players from Grant and Sacramento. They're not getting all the right players. And I mentioned this because what they're getting are washouts from USC. They're getting Corona Centennial flops. They're getting guys who didn't really live up to the hype at other schools, and that's not the recipe for success. And then I see a couple of transfers, and it's like, where's that kid come from? North Dakota State? South Dakota? Like, that's not what you bring to Fresno. That's not how you win. And I need people to understand this is not Jeff Tedford's old Fresno State team. They're slow, plotty, kind of blue collar. And it's not blue collar. That's not blue collar football in Fresno. Fresno's fast. You can go get some of the kids that USC missed on and go get some skilled players out of San Diego. Like, this is Southern Section football. And I mention that because they're in the central section of the CIF. But I need you guys to understand, all the talent in California, the vast majority of it, is in the CIF Southern Section. That section of football in America feeds every college all across the country. All across the country. And when you don't see it feeding Fresno State to that extent, it's crazy. You know a team that's feasting off of Southern Section? Idaho. And Idaho transfers. Pay attention to where they've been going after they go. They leave the Southern Section of California. CIF Southern Section is a region. I want you to think of like a region in your state. There's the San Diego section. There's the LA City section. That ain't shit. That's terrible. There's the San Diego section. Pretty respectable, pretty good football. There's the North Coast. There's the Central Coast. There's all these other sections. But the one that's by and large better than everybody, Southern section. If you're in the Southern section, you're amazing. Trust me. You can run track. Anybody from the Southern section, the top 8 dudes from the Southern section, they'll be the top 8 dudes in the finals in state. So that's the best place. I want you to think of that as Gwinnett County here in Georgia or wherever. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's the pocket where you need to find your athletes. And Fresno State's not getting their athletes from there. So this was the easiest call of calls for me. I said it's a lock, 100%. I knew it right away. And I'm looking here. and I'm going to talk about it since I won't be talking about the Mountain West because we got live stream. I'll just let you know. I'm on Georgia Southern to beat the shit out of these guys. Like, Georgia Southern's still a 1-point underdog to Fresno State, and I don't get it. Because I'm looking at Georgia Southern's players, and they're all better than Fresno State's players. It's just the reality of the situation. There's a huge downgrade in Fresno State. Pay attention to who they've had in the last 2 or 3 years and where those transfers are going, and now look at that team. And you look at those players, and you're like, those guys can't transfer anywhere. Those guys couldn't start anywhere. They just, what are we doing? I'm just letting you know. It's really bad. And obviously Kansas is at that point where they're at. So in this particular game, Jalen Daniels, been around football for 6 years now? This guy's a senior, super senior quarterback. I knew he was going to do his thing, go out there, but 2 incompletions the whole game? 2 incompletions. He's never been that guy. 18 out of 20? That's crazy. That means Fresno State, and Fresno State has a good corner. Let me tell you, when I go evaluate these corners, Alzillian Hamilton, complete stud of a corner. Complete stud. But if you can just complete 18 out of 20 passes, that's how bad Fresno State secondary is. They put no pressure on this guy. He didn't struggle at all. Out there doing his damn thing. And then you got a guy like Highshaw, doesn't even get any touchdowns. But how good did Daniel Highshaw look? He looked amazing. He looked like he had fast twitch. He looked awesome. And he didn't get the touchdowns. LaShawn Williams, the Iowa transfer, comes off the bench and vultures them from him. These 3 guys really stuck out to me, obviously. They looked amazing. Wide receivers, Cam Pickett looked great. Shout out to Cam Pickett, really impressed me. He didn't look that good at Ball State. He looked good here. And they got a whole lot of guys that were out there running around wide open and making plays. A little disappointed they didn't get Deshaun Hanukkah more involved. This is a former Iowa State tight end who transferred, had to sit out a year because he was suspended for gambling, and he's here. This is a guy that can do some real damage. But all in all, I'm sure the Kansas fans are really happy about this. Defensively, they came out and balled. They were everywhere. They were mean, vicious, and they looked the part. Really like this 31-7 win by Kansas. All right, let's look at this week's matchups and things. But before I get into that, I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching on TikTok right now, move over to YouTube, come drop a comment. I will get to it. If you're on YouTube, drop a comment. I will get to it. A question, anything. I will get to it when we do the Q&A after I cover all these games before I transition to the American. Okay, so anyways, back to the Big 12. They have some games this week. So on Thursday, there's 4 games of the Big 12 in it. You have Jacksonville State versus UCF. A lot of people believe in Jacksonville State. I'm not one of them. I'm telling you that right now. Now, UCF, there's some problems here. They have a lot of turnover. They're trying to find answers. Scott Frost is the new head coach. He's been there before. He knows what to do. The cupboard's not full. It's not completely bare, but it's not full, right? UCF does have Taven Jackson. They say he's going to be up there starting quarterback. I don't know if that's happening. This is a former 4-star quarterback, went to Tennessee, couldn't play at Tennessee, transferred back home. He's from Indiana. He was a state champ at Indiana. Went back to Indiana, eventually couldn't start there either, and now he's here. I don't know if he's just moving around schools thinking he's Power 4 and he's not, or if he's going to eventually find the spot and become the Power 4 starting quarterback. They have some other guys, though. Ja'Cory Brown somewhere on this team, and they tell me the starting quarterback is Cam Fancher. If Cam Fancher is your starting quarterback, let me rephrase. If Cam Fancher is your starting quarterback at UCF, you got a chance. You got a chance to have one of the most frustrating teams I've ever seen. If you guys don't know Cam Fancher, this is a former Marshall quarterback, transferred to FAU last year, was running around with his head cut off. He's like a chicken with his head cut off. Dude is uber athletic. He is. He's a dual threat quarterback. He can get, and I'm sure Scott Frost loves that. And he brings that to the table where the other quarterbacks can't quite do that. If Cam Fancher's your starter, though, you're going to be a little frustrated. That guy can't throw that well. But, man, can he run. And he's going to run around and get a little busy. Now, Jacksonville State, they've lost everything. And I know there's some pieces there. There's some running backs there I like Justin Savage, way down the depth chart. I think, what's his name, came in, Cam Cook, came in from TCU. He'll be the starter. Like, I know the roster. I know the players. I'm cool with it. I'm just letting you know that there was a huge turnover at Jacksonville State. Anybody that could play at the FBS level or at the Power 4 level hit the transfer portal or went with Rich Rod to West Virginia. Like, they're gone. There's only one guy there, and he's an offensive lineman, that I'm like, yo, that guy, Bubba. He goes by Bubba Grayson. Bubba is the real deal. Amari Bubba Grayson. He's the real deal on the offensive line for Jacksonville State. UCF, on the other hand, they have a defensive end that's going to be a problem. Yeah, Nigelette Kelly, I was so surprised to see him transfer in. 2 years ago, he's going to get 6, 7, 8 sacks this year. So UCF should be fine in this game. I think the 20.5-point spread is daunting, but it's not out of the question. It really isn't, because Jacksonville State, I think the cupboard's bare. A lot of people believe in Jacksonville State, and they're on that spread. More power to you. Next game, UT Martin against OK State. Yeah, I have notes on this game. I'm not going to tell you them because I'm talking to the MVPs about it, but OK State really frustrates me. If you look at OK State, Oklahoma State, they're bum ass. They're about to get fired. Everybody's getting fired, bro. They put out a depth chart, and the depth chart for Oklahoma State week 1 has 5 starting running backs. You heard me right. They have 5 starting running backs. They have 5 running backs, and they're all listed or. And I've talked about this before. You can't do that, guys. You put or out there with 5 guys. Look at this joint. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up so you guys can see this. Am I allowed to zoom in on this joint? It's right here. I hope you guys can see it. They have Caleb Hicks. That's the transfer from Oklahoma. He's the starter. Or Sessi. I don't like Sessi. I just don't like him. I don't think he's any good. And I don't think Oklahoma State thinks he's any good. Because if they did, they wouldn't be bringing in as many running backs. Okay, Rodney Fields. I think maybe he's the other, he's another transfer, isn't he? Coming back home. And then you have Trent Hallen, who I love. Trent Hallen is a stud. Trent Hallen was at Indiana. Tom Allen didn't start him correctly. At some point, he eventually got in the starting lineup, and he balled out of control at Indiana. Then he hit the transfer portal. Was supposed to go to Minnesota. Realized, wait, there's too many good running backs here. I'm going to leave. And then he went back to Indiana, sat the bench all year. I think Trent Hallen's nice. I would put Trent Hallen up there probably second string. And then you got Freddie Brock. Freddie Brock is here, man. And Freddie Brock, his whole career, he has just been going. This is a young man that started his career at Maine. And then he transferred from Maine to Georgia State. And he gets to Georgia State, and they have a 1,300, 1,400-yard rusher in Marcus Carroll. And then they have KZ Adams, who, by the way, KZ Adams probably rushed for like 3,000 yards in a season. I don't remember what it was. It was something crazy. He's a South Carolina kid. And KZ Adams actually transfers back to South Carolina State. He's there right now. And then the third-string running back was Freddie Brock. I'll never forget the day I discovered Freddie Brock. I was dialed in that day. They were playing in a bowl game against, this is back when they had Granger. They were playing Utah State. And I knew Utah State really well. This is the day I told the world Utah State has a third string running back named Razul Faison, and I think he's better than the 2 starters. And I don't think he gets enough playing time. Razul Faison is now the starting running back at South Carolina. He was third string at Utah State, and I made a video about him like 2 years ago. And I was, oh yeah, that guy right there, that guy's too skilled. That's my gift. I can look at third stringers because I don't have any bias, because I don't let recruiting websites dictate what I see. I just turn on the tape and go, yep, that's the guy. That's the guy. I'm watching tape on all 3 running backs, and I go, okay, that guy's good. And while I was at it, though, I was looking at Royals at wide receiver. I was looking at all these studs that day. I got to Georgia State, and Marcus Carroll was getting ready to transfer to Missouri, and he opted out of the bowl game. And then KZ Adams was already in the transfer portal, and he was going to South Carolina State. So I'm like, who are they going to play in this bowl game? Oh, they're playing Freddie Brock. I said, who's Freddie Brock? Let me go check this guy. Let me go check his stuff. Like, let me go watch film. So I turned on the film, and I said, oh, shit. MVPs. I made a video, and I said, MVPs, listen to me. Vegas has Freddie Brock at 60 yards. I think we need to ladder this guy to 100 yards. Ladder means take his prop bet at 40 yards, 60 yards, 70 yards, 80 yards, and every milestone he hits, you just make more and more and more money. You're doing straight bets all the way across on his alternate yards. That's what ladder the yards mean. He ended up rushing for over 200 yards that game. I was so dialed in. I told everybody bet the over in that game. I was 100% right. The over hit that day. It was remarkable. And then he stays at Georgia State. And they bring in a slew of transfers, and he's fighting for playing time again, which is crazy. I don't know if it's he just doesn't look the part at practice. Coaches just don't want to depend on it. I would ride that dude. No Diddy. I would ride this guy and utilize him till his career was up. Like, he's so great. There's no way Sessi Vallejo is as good as Freddie Brock. I don't know what you see at practice, but I can tell you this. If Freddie Brock is fifth string and he's fighting for snaps and carries with Rodney Fields and Caleb Hicks, if that's the way it works for you, as a running backs coach, as an offensive coordinator, and a head coach, even Gundy's involved in this, you'll all be unemployed. You'll all be unemployed. I'll still be here. I'll still be telling you you're wrong. You are not good at your job. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care where you get down to what you do. I'm evaluating talent. I guess you are too. You're at practice. I'm not there. But I'm telling you, I watch games on Saturdays. I watch film, and I've been doing this a really long time. I've probably been doing this longer than the position coaches. 100%. You can look at the position coaches, I'll be like, oh, he was playing ball back in 2012. Oh, this guy doesn't do this. He thinks he does. He got hired by the school to do it, and now he sucks, and he's unemployed, and he's fired, and now he can just say he was once a college coach. I run into those guys a lot. I used to be a coach. You don't know what you're talking about. I used to be a coach. I'm like, well, what the fuck happened, bro? Why aren't you a coach anymore? What'd you do wrong? Bum-ass dudes. Shout out to this Oklahoma State. Oh, by the way, shout out to the Discord stage that we're on and all the MVPs over here. Somebody show up. Yep, they're testing themselves. Everybody's testing to show up. Make sure they're connected. Join the general chat. Get on the MVP channels. Talk to the MVPs. They will get you straight. Can't get there unless you're an MVP. Download Patreon. Search RicoKnows, become an MVP. So, yeah, they're playing UT Martin. UT Martin, pretty solid team. Give me a second here. I'll tell you what my notes are on UT Martin right now. I don't want to go too in-depth because that's MVP level data, but I got you guys. Here's what I wrote. Well, first and foremost, I wrote Christian Fitzpatrick is him. And if you guys don't remember, Christian Fitzpatrick is the starting wide receiver now at Oklahoma State. He is, to me, and I'm going to sound crazy because I shouldn't throw this around, but he's Larry Fitzgerald to me. Christian Fitzpatrick, former Marshall wide receiver. Remember, all the Marshall players went to Southern Miss. That's what everybody tells you. All the Marshall players went to Southern Miss. And I'm sitting over here going, I don't think so. No, they didn't. Because Christian Fitzpatrick's over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it bothers me when people do that. All the Marshall players went to Southern Miss. Christian Fitzpatrick is here. They have it as 6'6", 315-pound starting defensive tackle. The name is Chris Thomas. Yeah, he's at Illinois. And he's in the rotation at Illinois. A.G. McGahee, starting corner. He's at Arkansas State. He's good. Jacoby Henderson, starting one of the safeties. He's at Rutgers right now. I'm naming all the Marshall starters. The guy who led them in tackles, Jaden Yates. Where's he at? He's at Ole Miss. He's a linebacker there. Their top cover guy was Jacoby Henderson, as far as I'm concerned. And I know you're going to hear about Moten. He went down to Southern Miss. I'm like, okay. The other teams didn't want him. Never forget that. Moten was kicked out of Texas A&M, arrested 3 times within his first 9 months. He's turned it around. He's a better person. But these college coaches, these college staffs didn't want him. That's why he's at Southern Miss. Because he would probably try to go somewhere. But I'm telling you, what's his name? AJ. AJ's over there at Minnesota, running back. These are all the star players that were at Marshall. None of them went to Southern Miss. Southern Miss, you got Braxton. You got my boy Braylon Braxton. I'm all about him. I've been about Braylon Braxton for 3 years. Ever since he was battling with Finn. Davis Finn, right? Is that his name? Davis Finn? What's wrong with me, bro? The kid, the quarterback who transferred to Georgia Southern and threw all kinds of picks and interceptions, all the shit. It doesn't matter, bro. Picks and interceptions, same thing. Nonetheless, for this particular game, UT Martin, my notes are as follows. Do you guys know who UT Martin's starting quarterback is first? It's Jace Bauer. Who doesn't know Jace Bauer? Probably non-MVPs. The MVP should know him. Jace Bauer used to be the starting quarterback at Central Michigan, and then he transferred to Sam Houston last year, lost the quarterback battle. It's okay. But Jace Bauer is a bad little white dude. He's athletic. And he's the starting quarterback at UT Martin. UT Martin, I have running back is John Gentry. If you don't know John Gentry, former North Shore star running back. He was at North Shore as a star running back, high school, Houston area. And then he went to Utah State. Didn't quite work out for him. Then he transferred. Where did he transfer to? I thought he transferred to Houston. It might have been Sam Houston. And now he's over here at UT Martin. So there he is. I think UT Martin has a pretty good defense. I really do. UT Martin looks pretty stout. I'm telling you that right now. UT Martin's a ranked team. They got a coach that's been there forever. Yeah, he's been like 20 years. He's been there like 20 years. I'm cool with UT Martin. Shout out to them. Next game. If you guys want to, you guys always ask me for like a crazy upset. Crazy upset. I would not be surprised if Stephen F. Austin won this game at Houston. And that sounds crazy to people. Like, that sounds absolutely absurd. How is that possible, Rico? They're 22-point underdogs. And I'm just letting you know, I would not be surprised. I think that people don't understand how good Stephen F. Austin is. So Stephen F. Austin, like, they have the best defensive tackle in all of college football. Shout out to my boy Ed Babino. If you don't remember, I was doing a show like this, and a guy showed up in the chat, and he just started dropping me messages. Hey, you need to check out my brother. Or no, you need to check out Ed Babino, over and over and over and over. He just kept writing it to me. And I was like, yo, Ed Babino. I don't know who this guy is. And then I looked at the name of the guy dropping the messages, and it was Big Ed or Big Babino. That was his name, Big Bino. And I was like, hold up, bro. Is it your son? It was his brother. And so I went and turned on the tape on Ed Babino after the show because he told me to, and I did. And Ed Babino is so amazing. I made a video on TikTok about it. And I said, this is hilarious. Because this guy told me about it. Now, I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit for you guys. 2 years ago, not 2 years ago, 1 year ago, last offseason, I was assisting Colorado to sign some players in the transfer portal. And I was talking to Devin Rispris. He was one of the player personnel guys with some other guys. And I was talking to like three of them on staff, three of the different coaches on staff. Now, I want to tell you that we had a falling out afterwards because I have a real problem with a lot of the Colorado direction and players and whatnot, and especially the fan base. And it really rubbed them the wrong way. But now I'm still friends with some of the coaches. I'm still friends with some of the players. It's just I don't assist anymore. I don't assist. But at that time I was assisting. And we had a conversation about who do we need. And I said, hey guys, I got a guy that I think you'd be interested in. And his name is Ed Babino. And they were like, who's that? And so we went to digging, we went to talking. And what you guys got to know is Ed Babino, let's see if they have him here. I'll bring it up. Give me a second here. I got to unlock this for the TikTok guys. All right. Ed, where's Ed? Defensive tackles. I should have his picture. They don't have his picture? That's crazy. There he is. Oh, they do have his picture. Ed Babino is 330 pounds, 6'1", 334. And he was amazing in high school. He's just the late bloomer. They didn't want to sign him, whatever. But you can never get enough 330-pound guys. It's so cool, man. He's a graduate, and he stayed at Stephen F. Austin. He could have transferred. Everybody wanted him. And I'm telling you, everybody wanted him. Power fours want this guy. And he stayed here because the nucleus of this team, like the players on this team, are absolutely good. Like, they're absolutely amazing. When I start looking at these players, I'm going to show you guys. Last year, they had some incredible players. They're all gone. But look, Bugs Mortimer, that's an FBS level guy. That's him in his Western Michigan jersey. Jordan Neighbors, former Baylor wide receiver. This guy, 500 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. This guy is real. This is a real football. This is a Baylor transfer. Jordan Neighbors. And he's not the only one. Who's another good wide receiver here? Let me see. Jordan Neighbors, Bugs, Phoenix, Cameron Kelly. Kylan Harris should be amazing. Blaine Green coming over from Oklahoma State. Rohan Fluellen, he's also an FBS transfer. Where's Kylan coming from? Kylan is another Baylor kid, ain't he? If I remember correctly. No, he's been here the whole time. He's 1,000-yard receiver coming back. 1,000-yard receiving last year. Coming back. So when you have receivers like this, Blaine Green, 6'2", 209, used to play at Oklahoma State. Fluellen used to play where? I don't remember where Fluellen used to play. He's another, Texas Tech maybe? He's another FBS transfer. I don't remember where. I apologize. But the point I'm trying to make is like this team is loaded. Look at the running back room. Richard Reese. Do you know how good like Jalen Jenkins is the second leading rusher on this team last year. He's got a little bit of juice to him. Okay? 5'9", 190, second leading rusher, averaged almost 6 yards a carry, 554 yards. This is the second leading rusher. Their leading rusher's gone. But Richard Reese? How are you supposed to stop Richard Reese? This man rushed for 972 yards and 14 touchdowns his freshman year at Baylor. This was a freshman at Baylor. 2 years ago was the leading rusher at Baylor. And now he's here at Stephen F. Austin. What are you going to do? You ain't stopping this guy. He just transferred in? Nah, man. The quarterback is Sam Vidlak, coming back for a second season. I'm going to tell you about Sam Vidlak. Sam Vidlak goes to Oregon State. Couldn't start at Oregon State. It happens. Coming out of high school, he goes to Oregon State. So then he transfers to Boise State. And he couldn't start at Boise State. And that's when they were, who were they using? They were using the kid that's at Arkansas right now. The tall kid that could run around. I'm forgetting his name. I apologize. I shouldn't forget names, but it's just slipping me right now. But it doesn't matter. Sam Vidlak goes there. Then he can't play there. So then he transfers again. Guys, he transferred to Montana last year. Didn't play well. But he got here last year. You finally get on the field. You're Sam Vidlak. And you go out and do this. 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. 2,300 yards, 67% completion. Anthony Richardson could never do this shit. 67% completion percentage, 2,300 yards. Last time he was on the field throwing 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's got a 316, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Like, look at this. 70, 70, 70, 70. Ended the season on absolute fire. Absolute fire. This is a former FBS quarterback. And he finally got his shot to be the starting quarterback, and he put up numbers, and he's back. And his 1,000-yard receiver's back. And the running back's former Big 12 freshman of the year, and he's back. Like, the whole thing is crazy. And then on defense, they got guys 330 pounds. They got returning starters everywhere. I'm looking at them, and I'm going, how the fuck is Houston a 22-point favorite on them? That's crazy, bro. I'm telling you. Do you guys need to know how terrible Houston is when they go up against certain teams? Do we need to know how they lost last year in the season opener 27-7 against UNLV? They lost 27-7 against UNLV last year. And the year before, I'll do you one even better. They barely beat UTSA and they lost in double overtime to Rice. It's a whole new team. It's a whole different coaching staff. It's a whole... Houston, 22 points against a team that has players I can fucking name. Dudes I can point out in a crowd. Ooh. That's crazy. Next game is Nebraska and Cincinnati. Shout out to Nebraska. Great team. A lot of good players. They're going to be on the road at Cincinnati. We'll talk about... We'll go here. Actually, I should do this. Boom. Houston depth chart. And we'll do it this way. What is this? Houston Texans. Bro, give me the R lads. We go to R lads. We just go up here, depth charts, NCAA. No, I don't want to buy a damn shoe, bro. Kim be using the computers. Girl shoes, bro. Kim buys a lot of shoes. If you didn't know, my significant other buys a lot of shoes. We're not really going to focus on Nebraska. I did that on the Big Ten day. But we'll talk about these guys here. Cincinnati, kind of bargain shopping from time to time. Remember, they had a really good offensive line last year. Senior lad, and they're gone now. They all graduated. Most of them are gone. But Buford's still here. DeAndre Buford, good player, good lineman for sure. Wide receivers are kind of group of 5-ish, studs, group of 5-ish, or washouts from Power 5. That's how I feel. Cyrus Allen is a stud, La Tech, Texas A&M transfer, but really La Tech transfer. And then my whole thing is these three right here. They went and found the right answers. Brendan Sorsby is better than you think. He will frustrate you at times, but he is still better than you think. I like Brendan Sorsby a lot. I think next year will be Brendan Sorsby's year where he shines and becomes an NFL draft prospect. Joe Royer, former Ohio State player, now he's here. This is a really good combination of the quarterback to the tight end thing. And then Tawee Walker transfers in, takes over this running back room. and he's filling in for a 1,000-yard rusher who's gone now, Corey Kiner. But we'll see what happens there. I hope it works out for him. Defensively, they got some players. I think this is a good team. McDoom's really good, just transferred in from Coastal Carolina, if I remember correctly. They got good players, man. This is not Houston. Don't confuse these two. Cincinnati's all right. Nobody likes Scott Satterfield. And they're playing a good Nebraska team. So it's going to be a daunting task for them on the road, or at home, excuse me. But when you look at these guys and you see a guy like Dante Corleone, the Godfather, in the middle, that's going to be a problem. He can get some push, collapse pockets, but I don't know. It just feels like certain pieces are missing. Certain pieces are missing to be competitive at the upper echelon, but I'm sure Cincinnati will do well at home and do their best. Then we got Friday's matchups. Wagner is going to Kansas. Kansas is going to take this day off. Kansas just got back from Ireland. If you don't know Kansas' schedule, Kansas has a game against Missouri the following week. So Kansas probably not going to be doing much against Wagner. Not going to be showing out, doing a lot of stuff. They're going to get some other guys playing time. If you didn't know, Wagner's one of the worst teams in the FCS. Absolute worst. And they're coming over here on the road. It'll be Kansas home game. Go out there, do your stuff in their new stadium again. But this time they don't have to pull out all the stops and go crazy. They can just chill for a little bit and get ready for Missouri. I'd imagine Kansas lets off the gas pedal just a little bit. Next game is Auburn and Baylor. It's a coin flip game. A lot of people want to talk about it. You know, the belief here is the SEC caliber and pedigree will beat Baylor. And I don't see it like that at all. If you've been watching Auburn football for a while, Auburn gets a lot of hype. They have a propaganda machine behind them in ESPN, and I get it. Every player that Auburn gets is 5 stars and the greatest ever. And then when they leave because they transfer and they're not any good, then they're 3 stars and they suck. But when they get there, I got to hear about how great this recruiting class is or how good these players are. Listen, I watched Auburn. I watched them last year almost lose to Cal, or did they lose to Cal last year? Do you guys remember that? Early in the season? I think it was the year before. They were supposed to lose to Cal back-to-back seasons. Yeah, they lost to Cal, 21-14. So you're telling me this is one of the most dominant teams? Somebody told me they were going to win 9 games last year? That fucking Pickles guy? Or Josh Pate guy? Those 2 knuckleheads that sit there and talk sports all day? I remember they got on there and said, oh, my breakout team this year is Auburn. My breakout team this year is Auburn. They said it all last offseason. And I made a video and told you guys. The under. They got them at 7.5 wins. The under's a lock. They're going to win 5 games max. Where did they go? They went 5-7. So I was 100% right about this team. They don't have any of these starters returning. They got all new guys. I'm a Jackson Arnold guy all day. Like I like players, bro. I like certain players. You can't go out here and believe this joint. How do we know Auburn's any good? What win told you Auburn was good? I need to know. What win lets you know they're good? The 4 overtime win against A&M? Like when you see them on the field, when did they perform to a level where you thought that's a good team? What was it last year? So this offseason, you believe in them? On the flip side, when you go and look at Baylor, it is the performance on a Saturday that has you believing in Baylor. Like Baylor, Sawyer Robertson taking over the quarterback room after week 2 was a smashing success. Absolutely smashing success. Dude's a little crafty. He can slip out and run around and do things. Then they find Washington, a freshman running back, who just puts up numbers and crushes everybody. You want to know how good they are? They lose to LSU in the bowl game. But it was 44-31. That's not terrible. They're an 8-4 team, and they're playing LSU. And this is what the SEC does. They give themselves favorable matchups in bowl games. And they put up 31 points on that LSU defense. Man, I'm telling you something. I think Baylor's for real. You end the season on a 6-game winning streak. You return everybody. You get back Hawkins in the extra year of eligibility shit. Now, I don't want to lie to you. There's going to be some concern here. Dawson Pendergrass is done for the year. The backup running back, he's great. Battering ram, white dude, whatever. He's gone. So now Caden Knighton's up here. There's a guy not listed here that you're all going to learn about. The true freshman. What's his name? Joe something? I have it in my notes. Let me pull that. No, let me do this. Oh, that works. Ooh, we did that good. What's his name? Excuse me for a second. I don't want to give you the wrong name. I know Austin Hawkins is back. Oh, Michael Turner. Yeah, Michael Turner. Michael the Burner Turner. He's not related to Michael Turner, but Michael Turner is his name. He's a true freshman. He's not listed here. Caden Knighton is a former 4-star. Dobbs a former 4-star. They got depth at running back, but this is the best running back in the Big 12. Bryson Washington is the best running back in the Big 12. I think he's the best running back. I think he's top 5 in the country. I think Baylor found an absolute monster in the high school ranks, and it was Bryson Washington. Bryson Washington's so good. You just saw Richard Reese transfer to Stephen F. Austin. Richard Reese was a 900-yard rusher his freshman year. The other running back that was here was Dominic Richardson. He was one of the top running backs. He just transferred. I think New Mexico State. No, now he's at Tulsa. So players are leaving Baylor because he's so good. Because he's not going to lose the spot. It's an NFL guy. When you start seeing leading rushers from the previous year, 900-yard rushers from the previous year, and they leave because this is the guy. Like if you go in here and you go look at stats from last year, he took over 1,000-yard rushing as a true freshman, or redshirt freshman, excuse me. 12 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 6 yards a carry. Richard Reese had to leave. Dominic Richardson had to leave. And I want you to pay attention to those two guys, Richard Reese and Dominic Richardson. Because if I go to 2003, who's the leading rusher on this team? Dominic Richardson. And he had to leave. Because this Washington kid finally got his carries and took over. Who's the leading rusher in 2022? Richard Reese. So the leading rushers from the 2 previous years at Baylor had to leave because the kid took over. Oh man, it's great. This is going to sound crazy because it's not the right comparison because he's not the same. But I remember this as a young kid. I grew up watching USC football. And I vividly remember this running back. His name was Sultan McCullough. Sultan McCullough, I think he went to Pasadena Muir out of high school. I forget where he went. But Sultan McCullough was this fast track guy who couldn't play running back. But he was the running back. And then you saw them like bring in new transfers or new recruits. And I can remember when I said, oh, this guy's going to be this guy's going to be that. And then there was this kid named Reggie Bush. And I went, oh no. Helix High School, Reggie Bush, that guy had 10 yards of carry in high school. And that's when you knew, like, oh, he's going to be the starter. And it was Herschel Dennis. Herschel Dennis, Long Beach Poly. That's who it was. Herschel Dennis and Larry Kroom and Herman Ho Chang. I'm talking about Long Beach Poly running backs right now. Late 90s, early 2000s. And Herschel Dennis was supposed to be the guy, the greatest running back I saw in high school. Best high school team I had ever seen in my life was Long Beach Poly at that time. And they ended up losing to De La Salle, but it doesn't matter. Herschel Dennis. He got to USC, and they were like, oh, we're going to get a transfer. We're going to get Justin Fargas, another amazing running back in Southern California. But he was at Michigan sitting the bench because he was behind a guy named A-Train, right? Anthony Thomas. So he transfers, and we're like, Herschel Dennis, Justin Fargas. None of that mattered. None of that mattered. Reggie Bush was the NFL guy. Reggie Bush was the all-time great. And he just goes ahead of all of them. And then Lindell White's right there with the 1-2 punch. And that's what you know is Thunder and Lightning. That's their junior year. That's not their freshman year. Okay? When I look at this, Bryson Washington reminds me of that. A guy who showed up to a running back room with a bunch of names I know, and he just took it over. Just said, I'm fucking here, bro. And then you got Mike Allstott backing him up. Unfortunately, Pendergrass gets hurt just a couple weeks ago, and he's gone. But they got depth at running back. I believe in Baylor wholeheartedly. I think Baylor went out and got transfers that they needed. They found answers in the transfer portal, and I'm referring to, like, they're not yellow anymore because they got rid of it, but Ashton Hawkins just got his eligibility back. This is a transfer from Texas State. He's a good wide receiver. He'll be here. Cole Wilson, former superstar at UIW, Incarnate Word in the FCS. He's here now. Lewis Brown, transfer from, it might be Syracuse, but his real transfer is from, is it San Diego State or Colorado State? What am I talking about? San Diego State, Colorado State. There it is. Lewis Brown. So he's a Colorado State transfer. That's a good player. He can really play. Taz Williams, superstar. Taz Williams, that freshman right there, he'll get on the field. Superstar. Kobe Prentice coming over from Alabama. Josh Cameron's still here. Like, this is amazing. And then we can talk about the Sidney Fugar effect. Sidney Fugar was a right guard. He was a right guard, and he was a backup, and he was nobody. Sidney Fugar was nobody. He was at South Carolina, and he was stinking it up on the offensive line. And then when he transferred over here, he was just supposed to be depth. And he was just a depth guy at left guard. And then last year, they were losing the games. What game were they losing? It's like third week against BYU, I think. It had to be against BYU. They're losing this game, third loss of the season. They're about to go 2-3 on the season, and at the end of this, in the second half of that game against BYU, the game was already out of reach. They tell Sidney Fugar, "Hey man, move to left tackle and let's just see what happens. Move to left tackle, let's see what happens." I'll tell you what happens. He took over the fucking world and he changed everything. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing them put up incredible amount of points, incredible yards, everything they did. As soon as Sidney Fugar moved over to left tackle, and he started the rest of the season at left tackle, and I call it the Sidney Fugar effect. Amazing. Absolutely amazing when coaches get it right and put players in the right spot. They got answers all over this offensive line. Trigg came in from Ole Miss. Great tight end. They obviously have the quarterback they need. He's great, by the way. And then you go to the transfer portal. Keaton Thomas is a stud here. Keaton Thomas is absolutely amazing on this team. And then you go get Travion Barnes. Who's Travion Barnes? He's the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. He's transferring in from FIU. So you go and get a guy to fill the gap. Incredible. Devin Bobby's a stud in the secondary. This team's got players, bro. Shout out to Reggie Bush II over here. No relation to Reggie Bush, by the way. Shout out to him. But this team's got players. They got depth for real. One of the most impressive teams out there. Shout out to them. And they're playing Auburn. Auburn's not a slouch. But I've seen Auburn struggle with Cal. It's home at Baylor. Auburn's favored by 2.5. Okay. Next game is Georgia Tech at Colorado. Georgia Tech going on the road to Colorado, and for whatever reason, Georgia Tech, the line was 3.5 for a long time. Now it's 4.5. I think Vegas is missing a 1. I think that shit should be 14.5, not 4.5. That's absolutely silly. Shout out to Colorado. We can talk about them. Let's go. Colorado Buffaloes here. Amarion Miller, been a guy at the school for a while now. Everybody's convinced he's an NFL player. I think he's a pretty good wide receiver. I wouldn't even go there. Joseph Williams was going to be the starter coming from Tulsa. They bring in Sincere Brown. Sincere Brown, former FBS guy, but was at Campbell last year, transferring in. You got Draylon Miller, another kind of stud. The Miller guys here, they're stud recruits, if you will. They signed Jack Hysteria late. Hysteria is actually pretty decent little slot receiver. He was at Colorado back in 2022, transferred to, was it Charlotte? And then he played good, so now he's back. I'd say Quentin Gibson was superstar in high school. Got a bunch of yards at Crowley last year. And then a lot of people like Killer Cam Michael over here. These are all good players. A lot of names people know. The fan base will exaggerate the talent, and then you'll look at them and go, wait, the best player in your school's history is a 5th rounder, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, this is tough, bro. I hope they do well. Jordan Seaton, good. He's a good player on tape. He's a good player everywhere. I think he's a good player, period. I know there's a lot of hype, like 5 stars, da-da-da. I don't know about all that. I can just tell you that when I watch the tape, I give that kid an 8. And if I give you an 8, that means I think you're really good. So he's really good. Xavier Hill coming in. That's a transfer from, I want to say Memphis. He was all conference at Memphis last year. Yeah. Memphis LSU, but he didn't really play at LSU. So he's a Memphis transfer. He's not bad at all. I like him a lot. I'm cool with him. Zarian McGill, I think, is the weakest spot on the team at center. Zylan Chrysler, I like him a lot. I think he goes by Zy. That dude looks like a grown offensive lineman, and he looks like one of them dudes who's here to play ball. So I like him. Underwhelmed by Larry Johnson. Underwhelmed by Zach Atkins. Caden Salter just got named the starter. I've seen Caden Salter struggle in Conference USA. I wouldn't be too excited if Caden Salter was my starting quarterback. Would not. I hope he plays well for their sake. Running backs. DeKalon Taylor came in. They told me he was only going to be here to be a kickoff returner, and now he's a running back. It's a UIW guy. If you can get a UIW guy to enter your 2 deep, you're not very good in that position group. That's just me keeping it real with everybody. I love Michael Welch. Love the burst he has for the size he is. That's cool. But if I see a guy come from the FCS and he wasn't the guy on his team, he wasn't the guy. There were 3 guys way better than him on that team. I'm serious. I studied the shit out of UIW because all their best players hit the transfer portal. So to see him in the 2 deep ahead of Dallin Hayden, Dallin Hayden's Ohio State transfer. Guys, I've seen a lot of Ohio State transfers not pan out anywhere. A lot of them. So I'm just underwhelmed by a lot of this. I really am. Defensively, they have a lot of depth on the defensive line. I'm super impressed with what they went out and did. They found all the right players. They got people 300 pounds, complete studs. When you see a guy like Okunlola in the second, in the 2 deep, third stringers over here that I can name and know, they have all the right pieces. Like Gabriel should be way up. Gabriel Lightfoot started at Fresno State last year. He should be up higher, but then there's good players. Otis coming in from Alabama, and Quinn Barnes coming over, and they're coming from all major programs. McNeil coming from Tennessee. I think Barnes coming from Alabama or LSU. Where's he coming from? I forget. And I should know every team in Alabama. I should know LSU is the Wiggins kid, right? Yeah, Wiggins comes from LSU. So Arden Walker's a good player. Everybody's fine. Reginald Hughes finally had a breakout season last year after being on the bench everywhere he goes. Martavius French is now starting. Okay. That's a little different. You got Goldberg over here, Salter over. Like I'm not with it. I don't know what's going on, guys. It's underwhelming. It's not the end of the world. I just don't see. I don't see the spread that they're giving at all. I think it's free. I think it's free, and anybody not taking it is crazy. Remember, in the preseason, I predicted Colorado would beat TCU. I said they would cover the spread and beat that money line. It's in 4K all over the internet. I did that. Colorado's going to beat Nebraska the following week. I called it. I will call it when I see it. I will make the predictions when I see it. I will always be honest with you guys. I don't see it. I don't even see this happening at all. Like not even, I think we're going to hit the over on this. 51.5, I think we're hitting the over. Because I think it's going to be belt to ass. Georgia Tech has real players. Real players. There's a third string wide receiver at Georgia Tech better than all the receivers at Colorado. Yep. His name's Jordan Allen. He's a Buford kid. Just left Buford and he just came over here. They gave him 3 stars. He's the fastest kid. He's been the fastest kid at Buford for 2 years. Slot receiver. Now, him and LeBron Bond are my favorite slot receivers coming out. True freshmen. Just so you know. West Virginia, going to obviously handle Robert Morris. There's nothing to worry about here. Hope they look good doing it too. South Dakota. You're showing up to get your ass beat by Iowa State, who's just got back from Ireland. Physically, it's going to be a problem. South Dakota lost their 3 best defenders to the transfer portal, or 3 of their best players, I should say, to the transfer portal. No, 3 best defenders. They lost them. And then you have North Dakota against K-State. Both of these guys, the Dakota schools going up against these guys. It's just a mirror match, but these are much better players. Arkansas Pine Bluff will not be competitive with Texas Tech. Just take the day off. Portland State might lose by 100. I just went back and watched the game today. I watched Portland State against Tarleton State. And Tarleton State absolutely throttled Portland State. It was 48-0. 42-0. And, you know, I was watching this game, and the kid that sticks out to me is Trey Page. I made a post about him on Twitter. When you're watching the game, though, against Portland State's got nothing. And I was really watching it because Tarleton State's playing Army. Okay, they're playing Army. And I wanted to know how competitive they're going to be with Army. First thing I want to say is Victor Gabelis is a good quarterback. I think he can complete passes against anybody, and he's going to need to because they're not going to be winning up front. Trey Page has a breakaway speed. That's a 600-meter guy. Played at Langston Hughes here in Georgia. How do you not recruit a guy averaging 8 yards a carry at Hughes, one of the top high schools in the state? Aaron Nolan is there. Jelani Thurman's there. Like, you got all these great players. He was with Justice Savage, who's now at Jacksonville State. And they were the 2 leading rushers. This guy's averaging 8 yards a carry, rushed for 800 yards in 9 games. And you ignore him? FBS coaches? Runs a 10 600 meters? He's on the state championship 4x1, 4x2 team? Trey Page, breakaway speed. And of course he went 15 carries, 170 yards in his first game against Portland State. There's nobody at Portland State that can run with him. He's just the fastest guy you've ever seen. Go. Now he can't break tackles. Can't move the pile. He dances in the background or in the backfield a little too much. But if you mess around, he's going to be gone. And Army's going to be in trouble when they play them just because he might slip out. He might slip out. It's the story of your guys' life slipping out. Just letting you know. But it feels like Tarleton State was just too much for these guys by a wide margin. And they even shut them down defensively. 3 interceptions, all this stuff. Now, BYU's playing Portland State. BYU is playing Portland State. What's the spread? The spread's 45 points or something. BYU might score 80, bro. BYU doesn't even have to try that hard. They're going to beat the hell out of those guys. Portland State's one of the worst teams out there. They lost their offensive coordinator. He's now the running backs coach at Sacramento State. Portland State is just not it. BYU's going to hurt them bad. 100-0. Something like, I'm not joking, 100-0. Northern Arizona versus Arizona State. Obviously, Northern Arizona is not going to be competitive with Arizona State. Full disclosure for anybody out there who's wondering, I have Arizona State going undefeated this year. 12-0. I'm not joking. I have Arizona State going undefeated this year. You can look at Arizona State's schedule. We'll watch it together. I'll let you guys know. We'll look at it together. Who are they supposed to lose to? Baylor, TCU, competitive games. Texas Tech, Utah. Okay, we got a gauntlet right here. Who are they supposed to lose to, bro? Do you know how good Arizona State is? I bet you guys don't really know how good Arizona State is. I bet you haven't ever looked at it and really studied it. Arizona State is a mother flipping problem, and I think they're better than everybody on their schedule. I have them going 12-0. They're number 18 on my rankings in regards to the most talented team. They're number 18. No one they play is in the top 18. No one they play is more talented than them. And I like Kenny Dillingham. They got real players. Oh, is this about this? No. I'm just telling you. Collectively, Arizona State. Undefeated. Undefeated. Sound crazy, Rico. You sound crazy. Injuries can happen. Things can go wrong. It's the preseason. Next game is Hawaii at Arizona. Arizona's a 17.5-point favorite over Hawaii. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I just watched Hawaii beat Stanford, and Arizona was terrible last year. And Arizona's coaching staff leaves a lot to be desired. I don't know what this 17.5 is about. No T-Mac? 17.5? Talk to me, baby. Talk to me. Hawaii. Utah, UCLA. Obviously, I think Utah's a better team than UCLA. I really do. I think they're going to be hard to deal with. Devin Dampier at quarterback, running around. Great offensive line. One of the best offensive lines in America. Both tackle spots. Left and right tackle are getting drafted. They're probably both first rounders. And it's something special. And then the rest of the guys are all very senior and experienced. Utah looks real. They just don't have good depth. Utah's depth is 4-star recruits. It's a bunch of kids who never played on a Saturday. But they're athletic kids. They're from Utah. They're those kind of guys. But they never played on a Saturday. So we'll see what happens with Utah. I don't trust them in the elite games. And then the final game of the weekend, TCU at North Carolina. I have a feeling a lot of you guys are going to learn how good these two teams are. They're both pretty good. They're both top 25 type teams. It's unfortunate that one of them is going to take a loss on a Monday. TCU having to travel all the way to North Carolina. Gio Lopez was just announced the starter. That's cool. We already knew that. But TCU, they're no slouch. Nope. Bud Clark is him. TCU's studs. I think TCU's going to win the game. I do. I think TCU's winning that game. Utah's winning. Probably Arizona's winning, but I'm going to go Hawaii. What's that money line? Hawaii against Arizona. What's the money line for Hawaii? Arizona State, BYU, Texas Tech, K-State, Iowa State, West Virginia, Georgia Tech, Baylor. Give me Kansas, obviously. Nebraska. Stephen F. Austin. Oklahoma State, UCF. Yeah, that's the Big 12 roundup. All right, guys, I'm going to jump to the chat here. Reminder, you guys watching on TikTok, move over to YouTube, get your questions in. I will answer them. I start the Q&A, we go, and then we hit the American after this, all right? So, appreciate you guys. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Interact. Thank you guys for being here. I don't answer questions on TikTok because they don't pay me. Bruce Fallon. Hey, shout out to Rusty. That's from yesterday. Rusty became an MVP on YouTube. You can do it. You can go to Patreon, download Patreon, search RicoKnows, and become an MVP that way. That's the preferred way. But if you need to, if you don't trust Patreon or you just want to do an easy button here, you just hit the join button right here on your YouTube. You become an MVP just like Rusty here, and you'll get all the information. We post it all here. You just don't get the screenshots of certain things. Like I just posted a 19-leg screenshot. If you guys didn't know, I'm going to pull it up for you guys. This shit's hilarious. So people always beg me for free stuff. So if you go to Twitter is my thing, RicoKnows, TikTok, all one word. You go to Twitter and you can see my post. You'll see this post I just posted here, and it says, "Here's your free parlay for this weekend's games. No big deal, just 19 legs. I never do this in a million years. 19 legs, go flip a unit, and it's all these teams. They all got to win for you to win your bet. All these teams got to win for you to win your bet. They're all gonna win. I'm telling you, go flip your unit. It's a plus 167. It's 19 legs. That sounds crazy, y'all. It's a centipede, if you will, but." Comment, South Dakota is coming. Yes, sir. MVP way of life. So the MVPs don't have to do this. MVPs get the real parlays, but I want to give away that one for free, just so you guys are aware. Stuff like that you can't see on YouTube because they won't let me post that picture. So you have to be on the Discord server or you have to be on Patreon, just so you know. Just go follow the Twitter. It's free. I gave that one away for free. Yeah, pay for that. That's free. 19 legs, bro. Just be sitting there cheering for 19 different teams and hope it works out for you. Anyways, shout out to you guys. Give me a second here. All right. Just laughing about something. Okay. So, Bruce Fallon says, who's ready for Clemson versus LSU? Well, I hope we all are. I really hope Clemson is. I hope Clemson's ready the most. But shout out to them. That's going to be an exciting game. It's going to be tough for both teams. Very good team. Shout out to me. ESPN really messed up the app. Oh, I have no idea, William Black. I don't mess with ESPN, the app. I don't ever touch that in my phone. I don't think I have ESPN on my phone. I have no clue what that's like. Best part of my day. What up, Armin? Armin says he falls asleep watching our videos. Shout out to him. This is also my best part of my day, making the videos for you guys. By the way, right after this, I'll be recording a video for the MVPs talking about Thursday's games. And I'll be going in depth about Thursday's games. So shout out to the MVPs who watch me record the video. You can be on the Discord stage watching me record it. And then I'm going to post it on Patreon. And it'll give all the picks against the spread, all the props, leans, all that stuff. So shout out to the MVPs. We'll be working on that. William Black says, I think there's maybe 7 to 8 teams that could potentially win the Big 12. Yeah, I disagree. But I'm sure you guys feel that way. Like, there are teams out there that people talk about very glowingly that they think can win the Big 12. I don't agree at all. Like, I don't think BYU is relevant in the Big 12 race. There are teams that aren't relevant in the Big 12 race, but you are made to think they are because of major media. It's the way it is. They're going to talk about certain teams and say they're going to be in the race for the Big 12, and I don't feel that way at all. But shout out to you. Iowa State, I believe, was down to 3 scholarship running backs. Sama Hansen took the workload. Believe Floria walk-on was the 3rd string. Yeah, so what happened was, if you don't remember, a couple years ago, when Sama went for 300 yards, that made them all go, Sama's the truth at running back. He wasn't. Everybody was just in the wrong cleats, and he was the only one that had traction that day. So he rushed for 300 yards against K-State, I think, in the snow. So then coach says, hey, Sama's our new starting running back. That pushes Cartavius Norton to the transfer portal, and he goes and he leaves to Charlotte. And then Eli leaves for New Mexico, I believe, right? And now he's at USC. But that's kind of how that works. Is like you benched all the players. You benched all the other running backs. They could have still had him. But you put all your eggs in one basket, and it was Sama, and he's not good. So, ugh. Looks like OSU is throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Reminds me of how Group of 5 schools fill their roster with JUCO players. Yeah, Anthony, you're talking about Oklahoma State? This is the problem with coaches right now. Coaches don't want to tell players who's on the bench. They don't want to tell players who they're not starting. They're not being honest with these players. You should be honest and tell them whether or not they're 1st, 2nd, or 3rd string, but they can't do that. Oh, we're going to go into a competition. We're going to find out after week 1 or week 2 and all this shit, and we're going to give them all reps. And you can't do that. Because then you got a guy on the field, and I've talked about this many times. The worst thing you can do to a player is take away their confidence. You crush their confidence, what do you got left? So when you go to these players and you say, hey, we're still trying to figure it out. So then he gets on the field, and he's a running back. And he misses the hole, or he misses the read, and he doesn't do this, or he doesn't get the right pass blocking. Instead of messing up and being mad at yourself and then getting back after it in the next play, no, you mess up and you look over to the sideline right away. And you wonder whether or not you're going to get benched. You play every single play. Whenever you mess up, you're looking over at the bench. Am I being pulled out? Am I being pulled out? Am I being pulled out? And you can never get in a rhythm, and the coach will be like, we're going to play the hot hand. That's a cop-out. It's bullshit, man. Coaches know who the best players are. They just don't want to start the right ones. This is how you get fired, when you don't have the right players in the starting lineup. It happens to all these coaches. The coaches who are losing, whenever a coach gets fired, you need to go and look at who transfers to a new school and then becomes a starter. It's because those coaches didn't know how to evaluate their players correctly. It's the reality of the situation. It's that simple. There's nothing else to it. Really nothing else to it. The coaches are doing everything wrong. Oklahoma State, something's going wrong. It's been like this for 2-3 years now. OK State under on wins is a good value. Shout out to you, William Black. I'm not sure what it is, but I'd imagine it's probably a good value. Armin says, still amazes me how you remember the high schools these players go to, especially at UT Martin. Haha. You know, it shouldn't amaze you, Armin, if it's your job. Like, this is my job. It's not my hobby. It's not me hanging out, having a good time. It's my job to know this, and I better know it. If there was ever a time when I really didn't know something or it was a debacle or I messed up, I can't think of it, but I'd probably lose a lot of money, right? I'd probably lose a lot of customers and a lot of people who believe in me. So I can't really do that. I don't have the luxury of doing it. I'd say to you, like, would you be nervous if you got pulled over by a police officer who didn't know all the laws? Like, or a judge who didn't know all the laws, and you were being ruled on a particular crime and the judge isn't telling you all the right to, like you get what I'm saying? If you don't know every rule and regulation for your specific job, that'd be a little nerve-wracking for me. That'd be a little scary. I used to tell this to my soldiers in the Army all the time. I'm like, hey, you're an NCO. You're in charge of soldiers. You better know the regulations, because if you don't, who are you leading? Like, what are you doing? And I'd say, well, how do you know all that? First, how do you know that? I sit down and I read it, bro. How long have you been studying it? 20 years. 20 years I've been reading the regulations. I haven't been skimming them. I haven't been faking it. I haven't been waiting until I needed it and then Googled it. I'm not that guy. I'm very detail-oriented. I'll give you an example. How many people know what the CBA is? If you're in chat right now, can you write and tell me what the CBA is? Tell me what the CBA is. If I say CBA, what does that mean to you? Can you even define it? Do you know what it is? And I'm referring to the NFL CBA. What does that mean? And now, if you know that it means collective bargaining agreement, okay, what does that mean? Who's it between? How often is it signed? How long is it good for? How many pages is the CBA? Have you ever read the CBA? You know how many chapters there are or sections there are? And what it covers? See, I could be covering the NFL and I could make a reference to the CBA like people do all the time. They write NFL Players Association, CBA, blah, 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 blah. And I actually sat down and I read every page of that thing. All 430-something pages of it, whatever it is. And it changes in length sometimes because of the font size and because they add different appendixes to it and different examples. I've read all of it because I have a thirst for knowledge and because I just wanted to know. I'm not going to make a reference to something I didn't read. I will sit down and read all of everything. You know, one day I wanted to learn about moose. I wanted to learn about moose in the wilderness. I was just perplexed by moose. I wanted to know everything about a moose. Where do they live? How big are they? I was reading about moose for like 3 hours one day. Just curious. I have a thirst for knowledge. I read about it. And then I found out the number one predator to moose, because they're enormous. Moose are enormous. The number one predator to moose are gray wolves, a pack of gray wolves. And then I found out the only other predator to them in the wild is a shamu whale. What? A shamu whale? Moose live on land. A shamu whale. A killer whale. Like, how is that eating a moose? And I had to do more research. And I go and find out, oh, in northern Canada, moose will swim from one island to the next. There's a bunch of little islands up there in that polar Arctic region. They'll swim from one island, and when they get in the water and try to swim across, a killer whale will eat them sometimes. And I learned that. My point of that is to tell you guys that there are times in sports where I will stop and I will search for information and I will not stop. And I will go dig deep, dive, and keep going and keep going and keep going. And that's good. The only thing that makes me different from the rest of you is I'm getting paid to do it. It's not a hobby. It's my job. And I have a really special gift that I can retain the information. Retain the information and apply it. That's the only thing that's different from me, from you guys. I can retain information a lot more than the average person. But yeah, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you for realizing I can remember where all these kids go to high school. It's just who I am, Armin. It's just who I am. I've been following these players since high school. Yeah. Anthony Richardson, stray. I love it. Never a stray, Jordan. At his center mass at Anthony Richardson, he could never do what I'm reading. He could never do. As I read stats sometimes, I'll look at the stats and be like, who's that comparable to? I know who it's not comparable to. Anthony Richardson's bum ass. I'm just letting you know. Willie Bobo says, sorry, I was shopping, bro. I only want to hear about USC, period. Well, that was yesterday. Big Ten was yesterday day. I think you were here for that. And I think we missed you at the fights last night, Willie Bobo. We had 5 vicious fights on Dana White Contender Series. They were absolutely amazing fights. Knockouts all in the first round, except for one fight was a comeback. The guy was losing the first 2 rounds, and he won by knockout in the 3rd round. You would have loved all 5 fights last night. They're the best 5 fights I've seen in a long time. So shout out to Dana White Contender Series. We do that on the stage as well, MVPs. Shout out to you. You like Texas this week. There you go, Willie Bobo. Willie Bobo likes Texas. Texas going into Ohio State, winning that game. Congratulations. David in Arizona says Hawaii is a plus 580 underdog against Arizona. Hawaii's beating Arizona, bro. It's plus 580 underdog. Hawaii's beating Arizona at plus 580. Let's go. My talent chart doesn't tell me that. I'm just telling you that. What's up? Andres Linson says, what's some Georgia high school football I should go check out on Friday? So Andres Linson, I have not been keeping track of the Georgia high school teams as of late, just because I'm busy with this stuff. But I can tell you this. You don't have to go anywhere. GPB Sports, gpb.org, right? Georgia Public Broadcasting, gpb.org is a website you can go to, and they televise one game every single week on Fridays. I believe it starts at like 7 p.m. And they have a pregame show. It's pretty good. They'll talk about all the players, who needs to get an offer, all the teams, all the best matchups, and then you'll get score highlights throughout the entire process. They have a really good website, gpb.org, for scores and standings. And I keep track of the rankings, the scores, and the standings after the games. But I don't do a lot of previews before. I'm just a little busy with it. But gpb.org is where it's at if you want to watch games in Georgia and the best teams. That's how you'll learn about them for sure. Shout out to you. Brandon Booker, collective bargaining agreement, correct. That damn card game helped with retaining info. E-Money knows. Shout out to E-Money. That's one of my childhood friends. Grew up with him. And he's telling you that I used to play a card game with my brother, my twin brother and I. We used to memorize out the back of baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards. And we did a card game with it. You know, we'd get in trouble. My dad would ground us. We'd be grounded in our room. We'd have to stay in our room. We had a 10 by 10 room. And we had 2 beds in there and a little dresser. That was the whole room. 10 by 10 room, 2 beds, 2 twin-size beds, and a dresser. And no TV. We had a clock radio. You could listen to the radio station. And that was it. That was our whole room. We didn't have any toys. We didn't have that kind of stuff. But what we did have was a lot of baseball cards, a lot of football cards, a lot of basketball cards. And when I say a lot, I'm talking like 20,000. We didn't know they were worth money. We kind of knew they were worth money, but we didn't really know. We didn't really know that if we had saved all those cards. I remember having 20 different Emmitt Smith rookie cards. Or I had a King Griffey Jr. rookie card on Upper Deck, 1989. We had every card people talk about today. We had them all. But we treated them like they were nothing. We didn't keep them in sleeves. We didn't protect them. No, we flipped these things around. We throw them in the air and bring them together. We were destroying these cards because we used them as a game. We created a game where we would retain the information on the back of the cards, and we would try to find, like, we'd have a whole stack of 10,000 cards. And we would just be like, all right, find your top 10 guys, most rushing yards in a season. Go. And then you'd go through the cards and try to find rushing yards in a season. And you'd put them in order. You needed your top 10. Whoever you found was on your team. And we're just going through the whole stack. And we do that for an hour until we're done with the stack. And then we had our 10 guys right there. And I'm like, all right, I got Eric Dickerson, George Bell, Neil Anderson, this guy. And you just kept doing that shit all over the place. We did that with every stat. We do rushing yards in a season, receiving yards in a season, in a career. We would just come up with new ones. We'd just be sitting there, all right, what about tackles? What about sacks? What about blocks per game? We would just do, and then we learned how to divide it by the amount of games they played, especially in basketball. 82 games. What if he only played 50 games, but he had 80 blocks? Oh, man, that guy's really good. And we started doing, like, averages. It got so crazy that at some point, when we got to school, I think we were in the 4th grade, they made us take a test. And my twin brother and I, we scored off the charts. Our grade level for math, my math grade level was like 7th grade or something. I was in the 4th grade. And they call on my parents, and they're like, yo, we got to get this kid in GATE. They got me in something called GATE, Gifted and Talented Education. So then I would stay after school and do GATE classes for math because I was exceptional. Well, how was I? was self-taught at home doing this. And that kept expounding. And then all of a sudden, I become an adult, and I'm a cyber expert for the NSA because of those things, just so you know. There you go. Collective bargaining agreement. What's up, Rico? Anyone know if YouTube and Fox came to an agreement? So right now, we don't know. If you aren't aware, guys, Fox is trying to raise the price on YouTube. Don't blame YouTube TV. YouTube TV is not to blame for this. They're not trying to raise the price. They're trying to keep the price the same. Keep it down, keep it low, and Fox wants a raise. So where this comes into an issue is some of the games that are being televised on Fox, we won't be able to give them. I'm going to give you guys one solution if you can't do that. The solution is Hulu Plus. If you do Hulu Plus with live TV, you can get all the games on Hulu Plus. They have an agreement with Fox right now, and it'll be a little cheaper route. But obviously, you guys don't want to spend money on streaming. You don't want to do those things. Hey, let me help you guys out. Come to the Discord server. Get to the stage. Be one of the first 300 people there. We will have the games on the stage. I'll pay whatever it takes. I do tax write-offs. It's not a big deal for me. But we can only have 300 people in there, no more. And we don't get copyright violations as long as it's less than 300. It's not considered selling it and trading it and giving it to other people. It's kind of like if you have a bar license and you put it up on the TV, you'll be good. So shout out to you guys. I hope we figured it out. All right, let's go look at the American. Thank you, guys. If you have any other questions about what we're doing here on the show, just put it in the chat. I will get back to you. If you're watching on YouTube, or sorry, TikTok, move over to YouTube, search RicoKnows, go to the live tab. You get in the show, get your comment, and I answer it. I'll get back to you guys. All right, let's go talk about these games in the American. First game, Boise State at South Florida. What a tremendous game. These are some of the best Group of 5 teams in America. I have Boise State, my #1 Group of 5 team in America, and South Florida is my 6th best team. South Florida has a daunting schedule to start the season. They're going to be 0-3 is what I'm saying, because I think they're losing this game to Boise State. But shout out to South Florida. They are one of the best teams in the American. They're going to go out there and put up a hell of a fight. They're at home. Hopefully they can put up a game, but I'm looking at Boise State, and I'm saying that's a much better team than last year's team. And that sounds crazy because they were in the playoffs, and they had Ashton Genty and all this. But top to bottom, Boise State's talented players are better than they were last year in every position group, except for running back. But they look better. South Florida's deep. South Florida has a lot of depth, a lot of good players, and a good coach in Alex Golish. So it should be a good matchup. That doesn't deserve any of your money. Just watch that game. It's pretty good. ECU versus NC State. A lot of people believe ECU is going to be able to score. They ended last season with a lot of hype and a lot of good plays. A lot of things going the right way. I want to say, is it Tony Gibson? What's the name of the NC State coach that left? He went to go coach at Marshall. Yeah, Tony Gibson. So he's the defensive coordinator. He leaves. And, excuse me, I have this window in front of me from the chat. I'm sorry, it's in my way. But he leaves. I don't know if NC State's defense is going to be the same without him. Obviously, a new defensive coordinator, got to figure that part out. But you're playing ECU in the first game of the season. Gives you a lot of time to react and recover and go do great things. I hope NC State plays well. They're at home. They're 14.5-point favorites. Good luck with that. East Carolina, going to have a tough season by my assessment. Some people believe they're going to have a good season. I don't know. And Vegas is one of them. I'm not on it like that. Speaking of not having a good season, I expect UAB to be one of the worst teams in the American. Trent Dilfer should be fired. He's not a college coach. And he's probably a really smart guy. But part of being a coach is getting your players to be an extension of yourself on the field. And I don't think he does that well. I think Trent Dilfer is a tremendous person, like mentally. Football, X's and O's, is awesome. Getting a player to go out and duplicate what you know, not awesome. And that's the hardest part of leadership. That's the hardest part of coaching, is you can't make it too complicated to where they don't know what they're doing. On the other side of this, they did lose Jacob Zeno, their starting quarterback. He went to Texas A&M to be third string. It's crazy. He doesn't want to be here. He wants to go get paid. And when he got paid, they're playing Alabama State, though. They should win this game easily. Then you got Tarleton State versus Army. Just like I talked about, I did some research today looking at Tarleton State. They have a speed demon at running back, tremendous true freshman. I really like them. And they have a decent team. They really do. I think they're going to do well in the FCS. But you're playing Army. Army's going to play keep away. It's a home game for Army. Army has monsters on the offense and defensive line. When I say monsters, Army's got 300-pounder at defensive tackle. Been starting since he's a sophomore. Their best player is their center. He went to high school with Kanye Udo, and he's been starting since he was a sophomore. So, like, they have real players. Army's linebackers, all conference in the American. You're running into some real monsters at Army. The only problem with Army is Coleman at quarterback sucks, but they still got Short. He can play. I'd say Army might have a team speed issue if Tarleton State, if little Trey can go do his thing, like, it can be a problem, but Army should go out there and really put a hurt on these guys. App State against Charlotte. App State coming from the Sun Belt, taking on Charlotte. Charlotte, new coaching staff, new roster, new team. Connor Harrell just named the starting quarterback over Loftus, which was surprising to me because I like Loftus at Duke. But Connor Harrell's a dual threat guy, and if you look at Charlotte and who they were last year, and I'm talking about Ohio, right? The coach is Tim Albin, and all his coaches, they're coming down from Ohio. They won the MAC with a dual threat quarterback in Navarro, so they really like a dual threat guy running their scheme and their system, and that's what they have down here. There's some real studs on Charlotte. They got some great players, and App State just doesn't know who the hell they have. A lot of this has to do with the fact they're trying to find the right quarterback. There's two guys still competing. Swan's one of them, and they just lost their starting running back for the whole year. Shout out to Kanye Roberts. They lost tremendous players on defense. One of their players, Santana Hopper. Yeah, Santana Hopper leaves, and he goes to Tulane. How you lose one of your best defenders to another group of 5 team? That's crazy. You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen, bro. Another one of their defensive linemen went to Missouri. He's in the rotation now. App State lost a lot of good players. We'll see what they do. They always have a decent team. They always have a decent team. Let's say that. But they're on the road to go play Charlotte. It's not much of a road trip to Charlotte. It's close enough. It's an easy drive. I do it all the time. Shout out to Charlotte, though. Next game, Florida Atlantic at Maryland. A lot of people believe in Florida Atlantic, and Maryland's not good. I don't care. Maryland is in the Big Ten. Maryland has players that Florida Atlantic could only dream of. I'm serious. Florida Atlantic is a feel-good story. Caden Veltkamp is one of these guys that comes over. He's former starting quarterback at Western Kentucky. I like Veltkamp a lot. I think he's a good quarterback. Teaming back up with Zach Kidley, who actually got him to go to Western Kentucky. It's awesome. He's got his receiver and Messer, and it all makes sense. Like, they're going down there to FAU to put up some numbers and play some good ball, right? Right. I went and studied the offensive line, the defensive line, and the whole defense because I needed to understand who Florida Atlantic really is. And I need you guys to understand this. I love Florida Atlantic potential. I love that they got a new coach, Zach Kidley. I've been talking about Kidley for 3 years. I've been talking about Zach Kidley for 3 years as a coordinator, saying he's the best offensive coordinator in America, and the results are just not there. And now he's at FAU as a head coach. I feel like a fucking prophet. But the problem is when I did a deep dive on the rest of their team, I went, yo, am I studying Temple? This looks as bad as FIU. This does not look good. And now you're supposed to go on the road and beat Maryland? I don't give a shit who Maryland's starting at quarterback. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Maryland has a really good secondary. Hussey's going to get an interception in this game. Hussey is going to get an interception in this game. You heard me. Maryland is the bee's knees if they're playing FAU. Give me Maryland to beat the hell out of them. Northwestern and Tulane. Tulane's a very good team. Probably one of the very best teams in the conference. I think they are. Right? It's Tulane and South Florida, but it's really Tulane is the best team in this conference. By and large, they're hosting Northwestern. I know Northwestern looks terrible in the Big Ten. I just need you guys to remember Northwestern beat Purdue. I think they finished ahead of Purdue and who else? And Maryland in the Big Ten. Northwestern went out and got Preston Stone at quarterback. They got weapons at wide receiver. There's people on the internet who don't know this. There's people on the internet saying Northwestern has no weapons. As soon as I was reading an article today, I'm doing research, I'm reading articles, and a guy says, "Oh, Northwestern's going to struggle in this game because they have no weapons." I just turned it off. You got to turn it off, bro. I'm out of here, bro. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. Cam Porter's coming back at running back. He's not the greatest, but he's okay. They got weapons at wide receiver. They got speed demons. Now Tulane's absolutely loaded. Tulane is primed to go do this thing. But if you can remember Tulane, it's really Troy, right? John Summerall coming over from Troy, brought all his players with him. It's Troy with a lot of additions to try to make it even better. It feels like an all-star team, just like JMU kind of feels. JMU and Tulane are very comparable. And when I look at Tulane, I just say, okay, if you feel like Troy from 2 years ago, when Troy was a beast in the Sun Belt, if you feel that way, that's pretty cool. But you know what happened to Troy? They traveled to K-State and got beat by 30. And it just made you realize, oh my goodness, there's levels to this. Tulane struggles sometimes against these better teams. And the bigger teams, I should say. I think Northwestern is going to give Tulane all they can handle. Yeah. Navy against VMI. Navy's going to win by a lot. VMI sucks, and Navy doesn't. So Navy's going to win by a lot. I don't know what that line is, but it's going to be bad. UMass and Temple. Shout out to UMass joining the MAC. I think Temple's better than them. That's the battle of the mid. That's like two ugly girls fighting over a dude. The dude just walks away and goes, I don't want either one of them. Yeah, that's kind of how that works. I'm just letting you know. Chattanooga lost all their good players to the transfer portal, and they're on the road at Memphis. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success. Memphis is very good. UTSA, I don't think UTSA matches up well with Texas A&M. UTSA is an exciting team this year. They look like they're going to put up some points. Yeah, they don't match up well with Texas A&M. Texas A&M is not the 19th best team in the country. Talent-wise, Texas A&M is top 10. Talent-wise, Texas A&M is top 10, and Mike Elko is going to get the most out of them. This is not what you think it is. This is not Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M. It's not Texas A&M who can't succeed and get over the hump and not be able to play well. Texas A&M has a loaded team. One of the best offensive lines in America. One of the most experienced teams in America. Most experienced. I'm telling you that right now. It's not even close when it comes to experiences like Clemson, A&M, experienced players everywhere. They've been playing football for a very long time. These guys look like they should have been in the NFL draft last year. Players from their team. I'm watching tape and I'm like, oh, I'm not looking at draft prospects. Because remember, I do NFL draft tape first. I do NFL draft tape in March and April. And then I start doing tape on the players for this season. So I'm doing draft content. I'm watching all the draft prospects. March and April. I'm watching the best players in college football. And then I turn on the tape for this season. And I start looking at this year's players. And they always look a little worse than the draft picks. And rightfully so. Because this isn't their final year yet, right? So I get on A&M's tape and I go, hey, am I looking at draft prospects? Am I looking at the right guy? Yep, I'm looking at the right guys. A&M's loaded, bro. I think they beat the hell out of UTSA. Heard them. Rice at Louisiana. I really, really believe in Louisiana. Shout out to Louisiana. But Rice, their starting lineup at Rice is comparable to anybody else in the group of five. It's the depth. That's the problem. They have no depth. If they have to rotate any players in, it doesn't look the same. They have good starters. No depth. And it does not look the same. It's not good. Lamar's one of the better FCS teams out there. They have a pretty decent stable of people to choose from, all that kind of stuff. So they're pretty cool. They're not going to be good against North Texas. North Texas finding answers, bro. North Texas went out and hired Sam Houston's defensive coordinator and brought all the Samsonite with them, bro. They brought all the luggage with them. And I think North Texas putting together with Eric Morris's offense, that defense, North Texas got a little something going. Trust. North Texas got some players. They got a tight end I really like, Trey Williams. They told me he wasn't starting. I just looked around and said, okay, he's not starting. I know Trey Williams when I watch the tape. I know a player when I see one. Guess what? I expect Trey Williams to be on the field no matter what. That's how good he is. Shout out to him. He's coming from Limestone, Division II school. And then you got Abilene Christian against Tulsa. Abilene Christian is not a slouch. They're not terrible. Stone Earl's going to be their starting quarterback. Stone Earl used to be their starting quarterback. Then he transferred to the FBS. Stone Earl, was he at Marshall? Was he at Marshall or where was he at trying to get playing time? I think it was Marshall, right? And he couldn't get on the field. Worst quarterback from ever. And then now he's transferred back to Abilene Christian to be the starting quarterback because they just lost their offensive coordinator and they lost their quarterback, Maverick McIver. He's at Western Kentucky with Rick Bowie, his offensive coordinator. They're all gone. So now the cupboard's bare for Abilene Christian. They got to figure it out. They got their quarterback back from a couple years ago. I think they need a whole new offensive line. And then they're going to Tulsa. And Tulsa, I'm really encouraged. I just told you they have Dominic Richardson, who was once the leading rusher at Baylor, former leading rusher at Oklahoma State, ahead of Ollie Gordon. Yeah, Dominic Richardson was that guy. And he's now at Tulsa in that running back room. Tulsa's got some players. They've been around. I love their coach, Trey Lamb. I like everything they're doing. So I'm really encouraged by that. I think Tulsa wins that game. The line is actually closer than you think. And feels like Tulsa should win it. So that's my breakdown on the American games. I'm going to go to the chat one last time before we wrap up the show. Thank you guys for being here. Remember, I got another video to post tonight for the MVPs. I'm going to eat dinner first, and then I'll get back to you guys. But let's go. Shout out to the chat. There shouldn't be much in here. because I saw you guys not writing much, so bear with me. Interact. What do we got? All it says is, what's up, Rico? What up, Top Ace? Anyone know? Yep. Great fights. Perez let me down. LOL. Yeah, Boston still sucks. He's talking about Dan White Contender Series last night. There was a young man, Mexican fighter, named Perez. He was fighting phenomenal for the first 2 rounds. Very, very dominant on the ground and grappling. And then, unfortunately, he gassed out, got tired, and this kid named Souza from Brazil got up and beat the ever-living breaks off of him. And it just sucks because Perez looked really good. I think Perez will make it to the UFC someday. I think he'll either come back on Contender Series or be a last-minute replacement on the card. I think he can fight, so we'll see what happens there. Bruce Fallon says, how do you feel about Michael Harris on Maryland? Really no opinion. Nothing that really sticks out to me, Bruce. It's just I don't have anything additional or anything like that. It doesn't stick out to me like that. I could read my notes on him, but it doesn't matter. Knee-jerk reaction? Nothing special. YouTube and Fox came to a short-term agreement, by the way, to cover the weekend. Awesome. Hey, you don't have to get Hulu or anything. Well, guys, sorry to wrap up the show so fast. I actually have another video to post tonight for the MVPs, and I have to figure out all the prop bets for those games before I talk about it. So I got more work to do. I'll probably start recording that video around 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for being MVPs. Thank you for being here watching the show. I hope you learned about the Big 12 teams and about the American teams. We're going to do this every single day about 5 p.m. Eastern, so tell a friend, show up. On the way out the door, hit a like, just hit the thumb up, hit your screen if you're on your phone, just tap it, and it should come up. If not, leave the show. You'll be able to like it before you enter. Just help us, hit a like and throw it, and it'll be cool. I don't ask for much. All right? Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Hey, and I hope you guys like the songs. I know sometimes you don't like them, but I got you. Go.
Well, who knows who's gonna win on Saturday? Baton Rouge, Alabama, and the Horseshoe. He'll know who's gonna win that fight tonight. Out in Vegas, knows who's gonna get KO. Well, he knows who's got the strongest defensive line. High school football all across the South. And he knows the best cornerbacks of all time. Oh, when it comes to the gridiron, no doubt. Oh, Rico knows. Oh, Rico knows. Well, he knows the difference between the X and Z. Knows what those colors mean in Tennessee. He knows how to throw a fastball and a slider. When it comes to all sports, he's an insider. He knows who the bookies say are the favorites. Knows the money line and the over-under. But he don't know what a bad bet is. That's why he keeps coming back for more. Oh, Rico knows. 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 Well, he knows the difference between the X and Z. Knows what those colors mean in Tennessee. He knows how to throw a fastball and a slider. When it comes to all sports, he's an insider. He's an insider. He knows who the bookies say are the favorites. Knows the money line and the over-under. But he don't know what a bad bet is. That's why he keeps coming back for more.